What's going on, guys? It's the Cruzin Podcast. Welcome back. We're back with another episode. Today we want to follow up on some Spider-Man. We are going to talk about how Spider-Man 4 is in active development. We're going to talk about that today a little bit. We want to talk about some questions and stuff we had with the No Way Home ending that we've been seeing online and we kind of want to talk about. And then we also want to talk about just what the future holds for these characters in No Way Home and the MCU and stuff like that. So we're going to dive into that today in this episode. So let's get to it. First things first, I guess Spider-Man 4 is in active development. Kevin Feige and Amy Pascal did confirm it, which was really cool.
Supposedly, Tom Holland might get paid $10 million
for
4.
Just 4 alone?
Yeah, like $10 million.
Where'd you see that? Who told you that?
I think it was...
Who's your source?
No, it was on Twitter. I saw it.
They're talking about it?
It was one of those articles that I follow a lot of those accounts. Was it?
You might get paid $10 million just for 4.
Yeah,
because I know they already confirmed he's gonna sign on. He's gonna sign on for another trilogy.
Yeah.
So that right off the bat, I think is great news. A lot of people liked how No Way Home ended, us included.
I mean,
now you're really getting
No Way Home was finally his first Spider-Man movie.
No, what?
No, but I'm saying in terms of his other two were they're Spider-Man movies, but it always had that Marvel with it.
Right. What I saw was a really good point. These 3 movies were a really good origin story.
Yeah.
Because how No Way Home ends, now this is
Spider-Man.
You really got we really got his backstory, because we did see Civil War recently, and that's 6 months of him getting his powers. So this is really his origin story, which is really cool. So now with this new trilogy,
it's gonna be more
it's gonna be about this Peter Parker. He's living alone and just trying to be Spider-Man and making those choices. And that's gonna be really cool. Kevin Feige and Amy Pascal are continuing to work together, which is good news. There's gonna be another trilogy. Tom Holland did sign on because there was some people worried that he said he wanted a break from acting and all. I think he just meant from other roles. And then with Spider-Man, obviously, he did
Kevin
sign on.
Feige's not done with him yet.
Yeah, you're done. What is it, that meme of Breaking Bad? You're done when I say you're done. But he's right now. He's really, you got to keep get that second trilogy in, because now it's really gonna be fun to see.
It's him in New York finally.
Yeah, and so they did confirm that it's an active development. So I would love to see what they're planning for this new trilogy. But that's good to hear, because I was a little worried.
Craven, because I know that was the idea for this one for No Way Home. If
it didn't work out, yeah.
So I wanted to bring that back for another film.
Yeah,
Who is Craven?
I'm not too sure, but
sounds cool.
It's gonna be interesting,
or unless they might do Venom.
Well, yeah, they did tease Venom. Yeah, I think they have an idea of where they want to go with this. Because I did want to talk about that, what's the future going to be like with this, and they're set on it. And one thing that I did notice, because we saw the Hawkeye show, which spoiler alert if you haven't seen Hawkeye, it's not that big of a deal, but it's cool that they did it. Kingpin is in Hawkeye; he comes out at the end. Now, where that finale in Hawkeye, I won't say the specifics of what happens, but in that finale of Hawkeye, with Kingpin, when they introduce Kingpin and all that, there's a certain building in the Christmas tree from Hawkeye that Spider-Man swings by in No Way Home. It's the same exact building and Christmas tree. It's that same part of New York. And I think that's actually a really big deal in the sense of it's implying what's to come. Because in Spider-Man No Way Home, we do get to see Matt Murdock come back. They confirmed that. And also in Hawkeye, they're confirming Kingpin is back. And the Daredevil series was all about Matt Murdock, Daredevil, and Kingpin. So I think that's a really cool thing that they're doing. I'm thinking for the Spider-Man 4, there's going to be Kingpin for sure. Because that kind of establishes, this is going on. Not at the same time, but it's in the same world. And they did confirm that he is going to continue to be in the MCU. So I do think we are going to see more Spider-Man with Daredevil coming into the mix. Kingpin being one of the main villains. He runs New York. So what I think we're going to see a Kingpin, Venom, because they do tease that symbiote coming in. And for the third one, I don't know if they're... This is like that Sony stuff that I'm a little confused about because we're seeing Vulture with Morbius, and I don't know what they're doing with that. But I do think like Kingpin, Venom, and maybe like a Spider-Man Daredevil duo thing going on at some point, you know? That could be cool. So, you know, different things like that. But I do see Kingpin, Venom, and I don't know where it could go from there. Are they going to introduce Hobgoblin, you know, with Ned?
No.
Because they teased that a lot in No Way Home. I was just, you know, watching videos on it and stuff. And the color of his jacket and his outfit, they have him dressed like the color scheme is very similar to Hobgoblin. And the way they changed that line, that was really interesting because, again, we just rewatched some of the Tobey movies after No Way Home and watching some clips and stuff. They kind of changed the scenario of Tobey, what he says in No Way Home. He says, oh, yeah, my best friend died in my arms trying to kill me. But in Spider-Man 3, he actually sacrifices himself. He jumps in front of the glider. I think it was the glider. Wasn't it?
Yeah.
Venom. I think Venom. No, I think it was some. I think it was the glider. He jumps in front of the glider and, you know, sacrifices himself to save Peter. But they don't mention that. They mention, oh, yeah, you know, my best friend died in my arms trying to kill me. And it was a funny scene because he's like, heartbreaking. So heartbreaking. And then Ned was like freaking out. And then he makes that promise to Peter saying, I'm not going to do that to you, basically. Which is interesting why they did that because then Ned forgets. You know, the ending of the movie, he forgets everything. So are they kind of foreshadowing what's to come? Like he promises him that, but he forgets who he is. And maybe there's going to be this thing of something happens with Spider-Man and he hates Spider-Man because he doesn't know who Peter is. And it kind of leads to that story and then, you know, like that confrontation with him and Spider-Man. Because why would they change the line? They know what happens in Spider-Man 3. And they've been the movie's very detailed with the lines and how they, you know, and I think they did that on purpose to start foreshadowing what could happen with Ned, you know, in the future, which would be interesting. At this point, you know, where people are all in on Ned and all that stuff, so that makes sense to do that. Now, but how much of that is going to be done in 3 movies, you know? So unless Spider-Man is just going to pop in for Daredevil as a cameo to help with Kingpin or something, you know? That could be an option. I don't think
Tom Holland will do like a show.
No, not a show, but like popping in as a cameo. Because that's what Kevin Feige was talking about. Him and Sony, they do a give and take. So like, if Sony gives them Spider-Man, you know, like, okay, here, take Spider-Man for Avengers, then Kevin Feige in return gives them one of their characters for Sony. So like, let's see. Oh, well, in Homecoming, it was Tony Stark. So, okay, we'll give you Spider-Man in Avengers. They got Tony Stark. Far From Home, I mean, you know, you got Nick Fury or whatever, and then, okay, here's Spider-Man. So they give him Spider-Man, they give in return some MCU characters, you know? So, like, that seems to be like their business model.
I don't know, I'd rather just have Spider-Man alone.
Well, yeah, I do think he's going to be alone, but there's a lot of aspects, I think, where throughout the MCU and then leading to his movies, that's what we're going to see, which is kind of cool.
I don't know about Ned, though. Ned as a villain?
I think they can do it if they do it right. I'm sure I saw the costume of it. I mean, I can see it happening. Because honestly, I don't want to see another Harry Osborn. We've seen it twice already. Like, we saw the good one with James Franco in the Tobey movies. And then we got the Amazing Spider-Man one was messy. I don't think they should now introduce Harry and do that whole storyline again. I just, especially when you've established Ned and you've established that well, and he forgot who he is, I think that's a good way to bring it back. Because I didn't know that, but yeah, Hobgoblin is like a villain. The thing is, so that's interesting, you know.
But like what, like he has like the powers like they teased in No Way Home, like the wizard stuff.
That's the thing. Like they teased him knowing some magic, and so I think they're gonna go somewhere with that. They wouldn't tease that for no reason.
Because I don't know anything about Hobgoblin, but like, is he like a wizard?
I don't know, but he's a villain. That's all I know, and he's kind of dressed a certain way like that, and So I think there's gonna be a mix there, which could be cool. It makes sense at this point. And another thing with like the ending of No Way Home, a lot of people were saying like, what happens because when Ned and MJ and everybody forgets, but like, do they forget right away when the spell is done?
Yeah,
because the movie cuts away, so we don't really see them forgetting.
Yeah, it's just them in the middle of a battlefield. They're like,
yeah,
do
they kind of like forget? They obviously remember Spider-Man, so like with Happy, right? He's like, yeah, Spider-Man.
Unless they know that Spider-Man saved them, but they don't
right,
know who.
like they remember it as Spider-Man, but not as they don't remember Peter being Spider-Man. But yeah, some people were like, wait, so what happens in that? Because it cuts away, but do they forget on the spot in the middle of the battlefield? Do they wake up the next morning and they forgot, or what happens with that? And also with Doctor Strange, some people noticed when he was doing the spell, he added a second ring. And when that kind of happened in the beginning when he was adding certain people to not forget. So some people are speculating that maybe does Doctor Strange put himself away from the spell?
I think he has to, because if they want him to show up in Avengers, how are you going to do that if no one knows who he is?
Yeah. So I found that interesting. I don't know if it's just only for the Avengers.
No, but I'm saying, but if they want him to come
MCU
back,
in general,
if they want him to come back to that, how do you do it?
Yeah, because some people think, wait, did Doctor Strange maybe pull himself away from the spell? Like so he doesn't forget, which would be a nice thing to kind of reveal later on, because he kind of didn't want to. Doctor Strange was like, we would forget you. And like it was a good character moment in that movie because, they were kind of back and forth. Like it was Peter being, like stubborn and not listening, and then Doctor Strange trying to like, make him understand. And at the end, like basically saying like he cares for him, he doesn't want to forget him, even though they went through all that, which is cool. So it would be cool to see like, okay, maybe he pulled himself out of it.
It was pretty easy to add him. Like
he could get himself not to forget.
Yeah, because when he first does the spell, he does it very easily, just adding people to not forget.
Yeah.
So I feel like he could just done.
I feel like that could lead somewhere where if he doesn't forget later on, maybe that's the way that something happens where they can bring everyone to remember again for the ending of his new trilogy, I think, or something like that. So it's interesting.
I think the MJ and Ned, I think they might be done. I don't think they're. I don't know. I feel like they might bring in different characters.
They're gonna bring in. I think they're gonna bring in different. But MJ, Ned, for his final.
Because I know, again, for me, for No Way Home, their characters had like a good arc. Like they ended up going to the school they wanted. They're happy. They're going through their whole lives.
Yeah. So
I feel like to bring them back.
Yeah, I don't think they'll bring them back for 4, but I do think at some point they will come back. I think, but who knows? Because a lot of people also are thinking for the next film, does Peter visit that coffee shop a lot? Is he always going there? Or it could be different things, It's tricky. They can really go anywhere with this, But with that Doctor Strange thing, I think that would actually make sense if he pulled himself out of that spell for him not to forget,
Makes sense. And it's pretty easy to do it.
Yeah. So that would be interesting because then that leaves that open. And, as far as in the future, because now, in the future, there's been a lot of rumor speculation about Toby and Andrew coming back, for like Secret Wars or, like one of those bigger stories. Secret Wars, I haven't read up on it. It's like in the multiverses, it's basically all variants of heroes and all variants of villains like going at it.
That sounds like a big budget.
It's one of those. So if that's the case, you have your different variants. You have the Spider-Man.
I feel like that's not gonna happen for like a long time. Though.
No, that's later on. But apparently, with that whole that rumored reshoot with Toby, where people thought he was gonna die, and they cut it out and they reshot it. It's because he loved their chemistry so much, he wants them to come back. And that does seem like a very Kevin Feige thing to do. He kind of has an eye for that. It makes sense. That would be really cool. And their chemistry was great. It would be cool to bring them back. and see what happens. And again, it's a lot of little lines of dialogue that they really tease, like, okay, this could not be the end, right? For example, with the Peter with, Andrew and Toby, he says, oh, like, I'll see you guys around, And I feel like that's very different as opposed to what the rumor is that Toby was supposed to get killed off. Because that's when he gets stabbed in that scene right after, it's very like they were setting up them having their final moment with Toby, and then that's it. Like, he's the original, and that was going to be his death. And then, like, they look like they were really setting that up, and then they reshot it where they just played it off as a joke, and then it kind of cut from that to just them standing together, like, ha ha ha. Like, very just...
God, that would have been so bad.
Yeah, there would have been backlash.
That would have been so bad.
I think they did that, and then Tom Holland saying, I'll see you guys around, So, like, that's a possibility. And also, with MJ, because I noticed this in the second viewing, not in the first one, but when she says, when their final moments together, she says, I love you, and he was going to say it, and she says, oh, just tell me the next time you see me, And so he doesn't say it. That leaves it open, too. That leaves their story open, because if they really wanted to conclude that storyline, if they really wanted to conclude that arc with both of them, he would have said it, and that would have been their final goodbye. You know what I mean? But they don't. They left it open. And
I think they're not sure what they want to do for 4, so they left it open.
Yeah, I don't think this is. I don't think it's gonna get resolved in 4, but I do think by the end of this new trilogy, I think it's gonna lead somewhere in that realm. It's just little writing stuff like that I noticed that I was like, they're leaving certain things, like they set it up for the payoff, Because when, let's say him and MJ, if they do come back together, that payoff is him being able to say, oh, I love you, right? Because they didn't get to say it before she lost her memory. Like, that would be the payoff. And I can see that working, just not right away. I think it'll happen towards later on in this new trilogy.
Yeah, it's just
stuff
a waiting
like that.
game. It's just a waiting game.
So I found that really interesting. And then obviously with Toby and Andrew, I don't know. There seems to be a lot going on here. I don't know. There's a lot. They have a lot to work with. It's really cool.
Yeah, we should have to wait and see for Spider-Man 4.
Yeah. The first Spider-Man 4. Because Toby's never went off the ground. Andrew Garfield only got 2, which a lot of fans are pushing to get Amazing Spider-Man 3.
Hopefully.
I mean, they're pushing it. Like, and I have this weird feeling it might happen. Like, giving him his last, but then that would have to...
Yeah, but the problem is, if it's good, then people want more.
No. They would do that, and then I think if they end up doing the Secret Wars stuff...
I don't think they're going to do it because they don't want to confuse people.
I thought that too, but you remember when the Spider-Verse animated movie came out? And then there was rumors about No Way Home being a multiverse movie. I was like, no, that's going to be too confusing for people. Why would they do that? Why are they going to have 2 multiverses, like, storylines going on at the same time? Then they did it. And we actually got Andrew and Toby in a live action. And I was like, oh, that's going to be kind of confusing. But they ended up doing it anyway. So I feel like at this point, anything really is possible. I mean, you have a Flash movie coming out that's going to have 3 different Batmans again. And you have Toby, Andrew, and Tom Holland in one movie together. Like, at this point, nothing is impossible. So now you can actually, if anything, get away with it. Because now you can make an Amazing Spider-Man 3 where after No Way Home, Andrew goes back. Maybe he wants to pick up...
It's just... I don't trust Sony.
But at the end, right? Let's say at the end of Amazing Spider-Man 3, it teases something where he's going to get pulled back.
Yeah, you see that now? That's already like...
I don't know. If they... For like the Secret Wars. If they end up doing the Secret Wars or anything like that.
Secret Wars... That sounds
that's probably
like,
a couple of years down the line.
That sounds like Endgame
Yeah,
stuff.
but I'm saying by the time if they ever do it, if they do it, that could be a possible thing. And people were saying, oh, what if, Tom Hardy's Venom against... I don't think they should do that. I think just create a new Venom for Tom Holland. And I think if I have a feeling they might give Andrew Garfield his third movie. Just like that redemption movie. He does kind of deserve it. Like, it's not fair. You would have Toby's 3, Andrew Garfield's 3.
I just don't trust Sony because part 2 sucked, man.
Yeah, part 2 was rough. And I don't know.
And then they teased all those villains at the end of part 2. There it was like the whole.
Yeah, that's the thing, because if he goes back to his universe, you have to kind of follow that. So, and I mean, they could forget about Rhino, because remember he does say, "Oh yeah, I fought this weird Rhino guy." So like, you could maybe have him locked up already.
Yeah, but then you have to take out Electro.
Does Harry Osborn in that one? He's still alive?
He flies away.
Oh, so that's oh yeah, you got to deal with all that.
Exactly, it's a lot.
Unless there's a time jump where he dealt with that, and then it's him post No Way Home, kind of like maybe he wants to like make the technology for it or something, but it's obviously magic. But
you're going down the rabbit hole.
I don't know. They can do something. I do think he should get one more movie.
Yeah, but it's just tough because part 2.
Because then you have the Toby's 3, Andrew's 3.
It's just you have to follow a lot. That's the problem. You have to follow a lot.
Yeah, two literally ended in a cliffhanger.
Because it teased the whole Sinister Six.
Yeah.
And then you have Harry Osborn flying around.
Yeah.
Gwen Stacy's death. The MJ.
What would happen to Electro?
Black Cat. They teased Black Cat in that one.
Yeah.
Then you have the Jamie Foxx. He's cured now, and Connors. They're cured. So you can't use them anymore.
Yeah, it's
a lot. It's a lot of.
They can pull something off, but
I mean, again, it's Hollywood. They can make a movie out of anything.
I mean, the fact that Spider-Man No Way Home exists is honestly crazy.
Yeah, now that's it. Now we finally get his like his new trilogy is finally like gonna be just him in New York. Hopefully.
Yeah.
Because one of the problems with the first two are good. But the problem is just like it doesn't feel like a Spider-Man movie.
No,
because
they're good origin stories though. Now looking back, seeing how it ended here, I was like, wow, this is like one long origin story.
Yeah,
and it was kind of cool
because you always had that Marvel thing, like you know, like, oh Nick Fury this or Iron Man that. So I'm glad like he has the classic suit.
Yeah,
he's in New York fighting crime. That's it. Like that's what we've been wanting.
Yeah.
So
they're good. I liked Homecoming. Far From Home was really good too. And then this one, like they each got better, which was always good. And they really stuck the landing with this. They really did with No Way Home.
Spider-Man 4, just how long do you have to wait?
Not long, because remember, that's one thing that's kind of like it's all part of this active development plan for what they want to do.
Pascal doesn't want to wait too long either.
No, they're in development right now, and let's see. So. Yeah, I mean, is there anything else?
Unless they're gonna let Spider-Verse run its course and then.
Oh, remember, in between that, Spider-Verse I think comes out next year.
No, but it's back to back. They're doing back to back releases. Because this is part 1, and because they said the reason why they took so long is because they want to do a 2-parter.
Yeah, so they're gonna have Spider-Verse doing its thing, 2022, 2023, and I think by 2024
he's gonna have his own little trilogy, and then he's done.
And I think by 2024 we're gonna see. I just hope
Spider-Verse has a lot to live up to. Like that sequel has a lot because
it's gonna do well. It's the same group.
Man, because part 1 was amazing, man. Part 1 was it was perfect. That's a perfect film.
It's a good time to be a Spider-Man fan right now.
They have the games.
The games are great. The movies are great.
Oh yeah, now people are trying to like use the games as a way to, they're gonna bring the game characters. I feel like no, that's it.
Don't start complicating things.
It's grounded.
But it is cool how it does feel like these movies lead to the game. Like,
well, yeah, he did a Spider-Man move.
Yeah,
Tom Holland when he fights Green Goblin, he does that move. That's kind of like
so. That's kind of cool because it does feel like it's like almost like an origin story to the game. Almost like it feels very similar because it leads to that moment. So it's gonna be really exciting.
A lot of Spider. You have this one, then Spider-Verse, the games, then the next.
In the next 5 years, we're getting a lot of Spider-Man because we're getting Spider-Verse. That Spider-Verse back to back, and then in between those years is going to be the game.
That's 2023. Yeah.
So, and then after that, I do think in 2024 we're going to be getting Spider-Man 4 because you'll be done with Spider-Verse, you'll get the game, and then I think
because they're not gonna release that between part 2.
It's only 2 years. If you really, we're already in 2022, so it's really just 2 years.
Wait though.
But in between that, we're getting a Spider-Man sequel
and
game.
then wait for Spider-Man 5 and 6.
And I do think he's gonna show in some of the MCU stuff. Now with Multiverse of Madness, another speculation is there was a lot of reshoots to add characters in that. Some people think after No Way Home, they're like, maybe they want to add some stuff. So
when they're gonna start the X-Men?
There's a lot of rumors about that.
Oh, May for Secret Wars. Because I know Secret Wars I'm pretty sure they're gonna be.
Apparently, Multiverse of Madness is gonna show a lot. Like it's gonna be big.
Well, look at WandaVision. It brought in Quicksilver.
Yeah, and this is Doctor Strange literally going through he's going through.
Yeah,
he's facing himself, like a dark version of himself so you already know, and they did reshoots to introduce more characters, to cameo more characters. And I did find it weird it's after No Way Home. I think they're going to bring in more, and I do think we're going to see some X-Men, probably some Spider-Man villains. I think we're going to see so much. I mean, he's literally going through a multiverse.
They're going to show, I don't know how much they're going to show.
Again, cameos, because it's just him going through this multiverse. So
when does that one come out?
March or May?
Next year?
This year, yeah. This year coming up, 2022.
March?
No, I think it might be May.
Oh, damn, that's pretty
soon. That's soon. Yeah, that's right there. So let's see. Let's see what happens. But yeah, anything else? That was just kind of like some Spider-Man just scoops.
Just gotta wait for Spider-Man 4 now.
Let's see. I mean, there's a lot to pack in. Some people think in these coming movies, it's gonna be Peter in the ending shot, it's the coffee cup. Is he gonna be visiting the coffee shop a lot? Just to but as a stranger, is he gonna be there? That's where he gets his coffee. Or
unless he tries to get with MJ but without the memory.
And
unless I don't know.
Maybe, but I don't think people will like that
because you're starting over.
That's like a Gamora situation, and I hate that. I hate that they did that. Yeah, Gamora to me should have stayed dead. But that's different because she actually died, and they bring in a different version of her from the past.
And now Peter Quill has to start all over.
Yeah, that's stupid. But at least here it's just okay, her memory's wiped clean. But there's hope of that being able to come back. So
yeah, I don't know. We don't know what they're gonna do.
They have a lot of options here.
Did he ever say he could undo the spell? I don't think so.
He doesn't say it, but it could happen.
There's always a spell.
All he has to do is say, these people to remember Peter. I think that's gonna happen later at some point. I think, but when this multiverse stuff comes to a close, I do think that's gonna happen. And then that's when MJ remembers everything, and I do think that in this new trilogy, there's gonna be another love interest. But not a heavy romantic interest. I think a Black Cat, what we talked about.
I think they should do Black Cat.
And I think that's going to play in Sydney Sweeney. And I think that's going to play into when MJ comes back. I think that would be a funny dynamic. I think we talked about this. Black Cat, because it's not a hard romance. It's more of this provocative thing. And Peter, I think he's going to be at a point where he's not looking, he's just committed to being Spider-Man. And then I do think that's going to be a back and forth. And then if MJ does come back at some point.
He wants a little fling. He wants a little.
Let's say, right? And let's say.
Just a little.
But it's a fling, but then he stops. He's like, no, why do we do that, right? And I do think MJ comes back at some point. And then.
You really thought about this.
Yes, because they left that open. I'm thinking about it. And the way Marvel works, I think this could work. Because he has a thing with Black Cat. But then he's like, no, I want to, I'm not. MJ comes back. She remembers everything. But then imagine the scene, right? You can picture the scene. It's Tom Holland, MJ, and then Black Cat. And she's like, wait, are you guys? And it becomes this love triangle thing. And he's trying to explain to her that it was, and then it's Marvel's way of making it funny as opposed to making it, you know what I mean? I feel like that makes sense.
You put a lot of thought into this whole.
But that sounds like something Marvel would do.
Again, I'm just playing the waiting game. I'm just waiting.
You get what I mean?
Yeah, I get what you mean. But you feel a whole.
But that's something because
whole dialogue.
I put myself in the shoes of how Marvel would do it, and make a joke out of everything, like the blip, all that stuff. I feel like that would be their best way of doing it. That seems like the way they would do it. And it becomes like this funny like love triangle thing and, you know, whatever. I don't know. That's just my I sent a script to Marvel already.
Yeah, I can tell.
Hopefully they read it. But let's see. But yeah, guys, anything else?
No. Put a lot of thought into that idea.
I just, it's a lot of opportunities. It's exciting. I like being excited about stuff because, some stuff when it's not good, it's not good. But this movie was, I'm enjoying it while it's here, So, because I do, Spider-Man single-handedly is bringing back the MCU.
Yeah, Marvel.
And Doctor Strange. I think Doctor Strange is cool. But yeah, guys, that's our episode today. That was just our discussion on that. Feel free to like and subscribe if you enjoyed this. Let us know in the comments, like, what do you think? Do you have a little story written out in your head of what you think is going to happen? Like me? I don't know. Yeah, let us know in the comments what you think might happen, your speculations and stuff.
I think they should bring back Uncle Ben and kill
from
him
a different
again.
multiverse.
And then have him die again.
Yes.
Uncle Ben.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching and for listening. And until the next one. Goodbye.